250 degrees, 109 knots. Wind varies between 190 degrees and 280 degrees. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Light drizzle.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Here is an overview of Skywave Linux version 5. This video will cover general usage of the new version with some comments on the upgrade, the included applications, key bindings, and usage suggestions. The first thing you'll see on startup is this scene near the Armstrong Tower over the New Jersey Palisades. It is right by the Hudson River across from Mount Vernon, the Bronx, and way out in the distance, the skyscrapers of Lower Manhattan. This wallpaper is a tribute to Edwin Howard Armstrong, the ham inventor and prolific radio engineer, who mathematically explained amplification in vacuum tubes, brought us the regenerative receiver, used positive feedback for RF oscillators, brought us the super heterodyne radio, and developed FM radio. Armstrong made the world's first FM broadcasts from this tower. Heck, I flew light aircraft past this tower dozens of times, going up and down the Hudson River VFR corridor during my early flight instructor days. We even did it in Part 135 commuter flying for a while. It's fun times. I was already a ham then, but unaware of the tower's history. On the radio, we reported this landmark as the Alpine Tower. Skywave Linux version 5 is just a little overdue, having encountered a few snags along the road from version 4, but here it is. We're now based on Debian, rolling in the Sid or unstable branch, with some software packages being pulled from the experimental branch. It is still created primarily as a bootable live environment. Use Grub, Ventoy, or other bootloader to find and boot the ISO file, or set up a flash drive with Skywave Linux written to it. Calamares is there, so you can use that to do a conventional Debian installation if you so desire, but it is not necessary. I have tightened the focus more on shortwave listening, making access to the airwaves more easy for users who live in RF noisy environments or without high-performance rigs or antennas. If your local AM medium wave stations are crappy and filled with propaganda, you might enjoy listening from another location far away. It is so easy to enjoy your favorite HF or medium wave stations by streaming from Internet SDRs. There are now hundreds and hundreds of them available. If you live somewhere that is geo-blocked by the BBC, the CBC, the CCP, or you live in a red state which is trying to censor your media, you can still access your favorite programs on live, over-the-air radio. Skywave Linux puts them at your fingertips. Easy peasy pizza pie, pull them signals from the sky. Jammers, hammers, propaganda, hear the good stuff small and grand. Windows, Mac, a dumpster fire, pimp your data out for hire. Free and open source inspired, Skywave Linux takes you higher. Version 5 began early last year when I saw that as much as I liked what version 4 had become and how well it worked, version 4 was getting old. Simply updating the apps and scripts was not bringing it to where I wanted it to be. Being based on Ubuntu 20.04, the OS was stuck with Python 3.8, and there were nice features in Python 3.11. Also, Python 2.7 was deprecated. Why keep the bloat when it wasn't necessary? Some of the apps were stuck in old versions because the system was on 20.04. Audacity was one, Crony, the NTP timekeeper, was another one. Here's the bottom line. I wanted to cut out bloat, have much fresher apps, and base the system on a rolling release forevermore. It turns out that Debian and Ubuntu have some differences, with libraries and apps not drop-in compatible. The truth is that you must respect dependency compatibility from the ground up. When apps don't play nice together, try other versions, or if there's no way to get things working, or if they bring in too much bloat, dump the problem apps. Some of the changes for version 5 are simply to try something different or to simplify the system. Much of the system is just plain Debian, so plenty of information about that is on the Debian wiki and in the forums. I found more specific information about the apps in the wiki and on the web pages focused specifically on the apps. For information about scripts I created, look in my GitHub repositories. That's github.com/ab9il. Now for version 5. I switched out the window manager, installing DWM FlexiPatch to replace i3. It is simple, light, and fast. Guess what? The key bindings are mostly the same. When you boot the system and get to this wallpaper with the status bar in view, the first thing you may want to do is set up networking or Bluetooth connectivity. It will connect automatically if you have Ethernet plugged in. To manage that or to get on Wi-Fi, hit the keys Super N. A network management menu will pop up. Bluetooth management is through the key combo Super B. Let me tell you right away, to shut down or reboot, hit the key combos Super Shift E or Control Alt Delete, and then pick an item from the shutdown menu. You can also open Rofi and start typing shutdown or exit. To open Rofi, the app launcher, use Super R or Super Shift Enter. You will see Firefox, Thunar, and other applications. Rofi can do fuzzy searches. Start typing the name of an app you want and its launcher should appear in the list with non-matching items removed. It is a self-sorting, fuzzy, searchable list. Items you select gradually move to the top, displacing things not used. To open the file manager, which is now Thunar, use Super F. F is for files. LF is the terminal file manager, which you can open with Super Shift F. The web browser is Firefox, available with Super I. W3M is the terminal web browser, available with keys Super Shift I. The terminal is available with two key combos. Use Super Enter or Control Alt T. By default, the terminal is Alacrity. WebSDR is also installed. One of the key apps is the SDR map, which brings up a map of any KiwiSDRs and several of the WebSDRs with good coverage of the broadcast bands. Click on a marker to open the SDR within the web browser, which is set to Firefox. SDR map automatically updates the KiwiSDR database and shows which receivers are online now. On first use, it may need a few seconds to download fresh data before drawing the map. Do you have favorite AM, medium wave stations that you would listen to on KiwiSDRs? I have set up a script and a set of bookmarks for certain stations in the US, Canada, and in a few other countries, hit Super Shift S to bring up the SDR streamer. There is a list of stations, fuzzy searchable, which can be tuned in the Super SDR client. The list can probably be extended to twice its current length. There is a similar set of medium wave pages on SkywaveLinux.com with some Australia, India, and New Zealand stations that I hope to add for a future update. What's up, India? You have a lot of great stations, but a rather short and unstable group of KiwiSDRs. If you get more online around Mumbai, Kolkata, or elsewhere, I sure would like to add them to the list. Super SDR is an alternative client interface for KiwiSDRs written in Python 3, which connects to KiwiSDR sites and runs without Firefox. It requires fewer resources than a full-on browser and is really nice to use. Open Super SDR by executing from the list or on the keyboard with Control Super S. It goes to the same database as SDR map and brings up a list of KiwiSDRs, sorted by signal-to-noise ratio. I have found that the top stations are mostly on the night side of the Earth, where the shortwave broadcasters are strongest. Super SDR, like Skywave Linux generally, is keyboard-driven. Use F to bring up a frequency entry field. When you hit Enter, it retunes and selects the most likely mode for the frequency. If necessary, hit A to change the demodulator to AM, L for lower sideband, and U for upper sideband. Zoom in with the up arrow and zoom out with the down arrow. Center on the tuned frequency with the space bar. If you are listening to AM mode, the synchronous demodulator is a real treat. Use Shift A for double sideband, Shift U for synchronous upper sideband, Shift L for synchronous lower sideband. To exit Super SDR, hit Shift Escape. Super SDR locks up sometimes if the connection goes bad. If it locks up on you, hit Super Shift S to bring up the SDR streamer. Hit the up arrow twice and Enter to kill Super SDR. Then you can retry or switch to another KiwiSDR server. While we're on the topic of favorite stations, you should know that there is an app on here for streaming conventional, noise-free internet radio directly from the station's websites. When we get solar flares, or if you just want some high-fidelity radio streaming, use Super S to bring up the internet radio playlist and enjoy some nice stations.
Some people see the band directors.
These lists can be edited. You can add or remove stations from either one if you want. Just follow the syntax of that particular list. If you find yourself in a place where your access to radio broadcasts is blocked, you have support for circumvention tools. There is OpenVPN, WireGuard, and SSH tunneling through S-Shuttle. No matter whether it is the broadcaster, your country, or your ISP trying to block your connection, you can evade censorship with Skywave Linux. Jamming can be beaten. Geo-blocking can be beaten. If your neighborhood is too noisy, you can connect to a distant receiver even if your internet is restricted. If the bastards won't let you get the BBC, or if your local airwaves are jammed or just too noisy, you can find a way. Connect to an internet SDR on the other side of the world and then have a laugh and enjoy your favorite shows. If you are into the digital signal modes, try FLDigi, JS8 Call, WSJT, or JTDX. You can go to the proper frequencies and hear all sorts of stuff. Those modes are great for low power operation and easy to hear on a lot of KiwiSDR or WebSDR sites. If you have your own SDR hardware, Skywave Linux continues to carry a lot of different drivers. RTL SDR, AirSpy, UHD, and others are plug and play on here. There are some changes from version 4 though. To reduce the size of the ISO file, I dropped GQRX and GR Osmo SDR. SDR Play has been very unhappy about people using their closed source, very non-free drivers with hardware clones, so I opted to get distanced from that mess. SDR Play does make nice hardware. If the clones are built similarly to the authentic radios, I would expect them to work pretty well also. If you have SDR Play devices, feel free to install Skywave Linux and then go get the closed source and non-free drivers for your own station. The user interfaces for your plug-in SDR hardware are SDR++ and Cubic SDR. SDR++ keeps getting better and better. There are really nice features in SDR++, and the dev pushes fresh updates multiple times per week. It works with a lot of different types of devices, not only RTL SDR dongles, but the ADALM, Pluto SDR, HackRF, Blade RF, SOPI SDR, and others. Cubic SDR works fine with SOPI SDR compatible devices and has some slick features. Skywave Linux continues to carry apps for intercepting and saving aircraft downlinks, such as ADSB, ACARS, and VDL Mode 2. I also added HFDL, so you may plug in your SDR and capture aero data on HF. Depending on the sampling bandwidth of your SDR, you might want to run the multi-channel voice app to monitor more frequencies all at once. Multi-channel listening is great because it is not scanning. As long as the frequencies are within the sampling bandwidth, you can sit on all of them at once and not miss any calls. Are any weather satellite trackers or Oscar enthusiasts out there? I installed SatDump and gPredict, which are for demodulating downlinks and tracking satellites, respectively. You would need an antenna, either an omnidirectional one or a beam, which can track the birds and handle circularly polarized signals. Skywave Linux has some good tools on the system for Linux nerds, like myself. For code editing, NeoVim is installed, with language server support for a number of popular programming languages: Bash, Python, JavaScript, and TypeScript, Perl, Lua, and HTML, for example. So you not only have syntax highlighting, but some formatting and linting too. It will stay quiet when you are coding well and alert you if you start to mangle the code. For light editing tasks, Nano is set up with syntax highlighting. A lot of Python is on the system. You can do a lot of mathematics and data analysis with it. Not only for yourself, you can create live code notebooks in Jupyter Lab, then make presentations or share the notebooks with friends or colleagues. Jupyter Lab is really nice. If you don't know about it, take some time to explore what you can do with it. Do you take notes or keep a journal? Use Obsidian to take notes or write your prose in Markdown formatted text files. Obsidian is smartly set up with plugins to make it useful, efficient, and look good too. You can also take notes in NeoVim. Enter VimWiki on the command line, and it will open up your notes index in the Obsidian vault. This is a great way to build up your library of notes, your second brain. Master the info of your world, friends. Your notes can be as simple as a few lines of text. Perhaps a reminder to watch more Mach 7 radio intercepts on YouTube, or perhaps you have some favorite code snippets, or lists of frequencies where interesting traffic can be heard. I keep a lot of notes about stations and nets where certain stations can be found. There are snippets of URLs for tuning in things on HF and long wave. Others are ideas about upcoming videos or website posts. Just about anything which may be useful in the future, I save in a markdown note. VimWiki and Obsidian are great because you may interlink those notes just like web pages. Click on a link and you go to another note. You can record your screen and even stream it online with OBS Studio. All of those live streams I've done of the maniacs on 40 and 75 meters, those were recorded or streamed in OBS. Sometimes I have tasks involving audio editing. For that, I use Audacity. Here in Skywave Linux, Audacity is set up with a whole bunch of processing plugins for making your audio sound better. You can manage the amplitude dynamics, apply EQ or noise reduction, shift frequencies, cut it, slice it, and do other things. Let us consider the terminal for working on the command line. GPU-accelerated terminal emulators are installed, Alacrity and WebSDR. You may not notice the difference on a low-spec system, but if you are on a high-spec one, things render quite fast and smoothly. VI mode is available in the terminal. For example, hit Escape to enter command mode, and V to edit the command in NeoVim. When you quit the editor, the command will be executed. So when you do that, don't fuck with dangerous bash commands. On the command line, in normal mode, hit 0 to move your cursor to the leftmost column, or the $, that's Shift 4, to move that cursor to the far right. For reading Reddit, blogs, or other resources with RSS feeds, you have Newsboat. To browse the web in your terminal, use W3M. Remember, you can bring it up with Super Shift I. Castero is a terminal podcast client. If you want to engage in chat in any IRC meeting places, use IRSSI. The system has powerful search tools installed. You can search text files, scripts, PDFs, and archives for keywords or phrases with ripgrep, ripgrep-all, and FZF. It works on the command line. Try it. Go to the command line and enter RGG and a keyword or phrase in quotes to see a list of files with hits. Enter RGF for a live search. When you do the live search with the command RGF, you get a continuously updated list of files and a preview of the text where there are hits. They search recursively, looking deeply into folders, PDFs, and archives for documents containing the search text. They are fast, showing results within a split second of your text entries. Text search can be a little scary. Try a search for a password, and you'll see very quickly why you should never keep your passwords in plain text. Not even plain text in a zip or tar archive. But if you are a student or keep a lot of practical notes or instructions on how to do things, these search tools bring up things fast. You can rip through 1,000 PDFs, if you have them, and find mentions of things like direct sampling, WebSDR, solar flux, superheterodyne, even Brother Stare or Fuck Trump. And the search tools will find them if they're in any text files. For online searches, I continue to maintain SurfRaw. To see the sites you can search for data, enter surfraw-elvis. The list is long with all sorts of sites. To make the list of Elvis more manageable, use the command surfraw-elvis and pipe more, and then take your time to find the web resource you want to search. For example, let's look up a call sign. How about one of the coolest hams to ever radiate a signal? Try surfraw qth wa1hlr and enter. When the browser opens, it will go to qth.net and plug in a search for Timtron. In a few seconds, you'll see his info and a picture of him taking a swig of something, which I don't recognize. Maybe it's a brew, maybe it's a cola, I don't know. Either way, SurfRaw saves you a lot of time. We're almost finished, but first, a word about upgrading the installed packages or customizing the system. If you do make a full installation on bare metal, you can do upgrades on the command line with nala, apt, or aptitude. You can also use Flatpaks, Pakstall, and MakeDeb to install software. App images work fine too. A lot of source packages are on the system, mostly from GitHub, which I stored in the directory user local source. Being a rolling release based on Debian unstable and experimental, it is a good idea to do fairly frequent updates. I update the ISO regularly and keep a backup just in case Sid comes for a visit and breaks things. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a summary of the goodies in Skywave Linux version 5. It is Debian Sid with plenty of nifty tools for hams, shortwave listeners, content creators, students, data nerds, and people who want to see the beautiful things available in the world of Linux and open source. It is global radio and a whole lot more. Put it to work for you. Thank you for watching.